All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the July 17th, 2025 meeting of the Police Accountability Board. We have a quorum, just a notice to the public that this is being recorded and is also being broadcast live. Is that right?
People can enter through the link. Yes.
Okay. And our chair of the board is going to arrive quickly. In the meantime, you open the meeting, take care of some administrative items. The first matter on the agenda is going to be to approve our agenda for this evening. Open, we're being recorded. We haven't barely begun, so I need to.
All right, we are being recorded. All right, we have a hand.
Yes, I move that we approve the agenda.
Outstanding.
The motion is on approving the agenda.
And I second that motion.
All those in favor of approving tonight's agenda? Say aye or raise your hand. Any nays? The ayes have it.
A point of order, I'm sorry, it looks like we were supposed to approve the minutes first.
So,
My mistake.
so it made logical sense to me to have the agenda, which was to approve the minutes before we did one or the other.
Oh,
So that
it's not
was-
my mistake.
So no, it was intentional, but it is a good reminder that we have not yet approved the minutes. And so with the chair's indulgence, I will move to approve the minutes. As staff prepared for us of our last meeting on July 17th, 2025.
I second.
All those in favor with approving the minutes for July 17th, 2025? Say aye or raise your hand. Any nays? The ayes have it. So thank you again for that. So we've already approved the agenda for the night. All right, we moved on to our third item, which is, of course, the staff report.
Thank you, Chair. Ms. Byers, if you could give us the monthly complaint report.
Yes, this is the monthly complaint report for July 2025. Through the portal, we had 8 complaints. 5 were defined as eligible by Montgomery County Department of Police and are currently under investigation. 2 are unknown and under investigation by Montgomery County Department of Police. 1 is defined as eligible by the Rockville City Police Department and is currently under investigation. Complaints received through other methods, we have 9. 1 was received as an eligible and is eligible by Rockville City Police Department and is under investigation. 8 were defined as eligible by the Montgomery County Department of Police and are under investigation. Mr. Mallory?
Thank you. Regarding the annual report, we are looking for outlines of planned sections as soon as possible. We are asking to see rough drafts of the intended sections by the meeting on September 18th, 2025, in order to keep us on track for a timely publication. Relatedly, we're looking for a list of all ad hoc groups, including present leadership, participants, status, whether they're active or interactive, and if they're active, any current objectives. Let's see. For the review of action items, you all have received a revised confidentiality agreement. The special counsel for the board reviewed the one that had been on file and determined that it was in need of revision and provided this version, which we've provided to you. So once you have an opportunity to complete it and return it, we appreciate it. For action items, we received a request regarding scheduling of meetings with the listening ad hoc group. We are still in need of a list of members in order to schedule those meetings, to make sure that we don't end up with a quorum, and so that we can clear schedules. Invitations for expressions of interest have been sent to the organizations on listed on the agenda: ACLU Maryland, Presbyterians for Police Transformation, Independence Now, and the Democratic Socialists of America for the DMV. We have received one response, so for to continue scheduling, we'll just need to know who is going to be participating. For, let's see, and we received no additional requests through the portal. You all also have received an updated version of the case viewer, including agency level breakdowns, showing the number of allegations on which there were disciplinary outcomes by year, as well as by category. Those are, of course, the Police Executive Research Forum categories discussed at the last meeting. You also still have that table that summarizes all agency grand total lifespan of the program. So those are available for your review at your leisure. And that concludes the staff report.
Our chair recognizes Vice Chair Kennedy.
Thank you for the report. Question about the invitations, how, why these groups, what went into that process?
We had been asked a couple days ago by the chair about where we stood, where the administrative staff stood with making appointments for the listening tour with various groups in the county. That list of groups was discussed at the last meeting. We at that time requested just a list of who would be involved. But having not received that, we still see no reason not to at least see if those groups are interested in meeting with the listening group. So that's where we are here.
And if I may comment, apologies on my part, I thought it was known who was part of the listening tour, which was part of the last group that you made appointments for, which includes myself, at the time, Kate, Alicia, and George. We recognize those have been the four. We do not have a quorum, but that's 4 or 5 makes it a quorum.
Kate said she could.
Correct. And with Kate departing, we embarked Ryan White into the fold.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comment on the staff's report? I see George. George, see your hand is up.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Forrest, Laura. A couple of quick questions for me. On the update to the confidentiality agreement, I will be sure to read that, and thank you for attaching the statutes alongside that. Briefly, do you have a sense for any substantive changes that we should be aware of at the outset?
I mean, we're happy to provide to send you a copy of the prior one that you would have entered. It wouldn't. I don't think it'd be appropriate for the staff necessarily to advise on the substantive differences of the agreement.
If you could send the original one, that should suffice at least.
Certainly.
Appreciate that. And then one more thing. Again, thank you for your guys' hard work on the case viewer. There's a lot of information in here, and so again, thank you for putting that together. In trying to make, this is more of a technical question, trying to make some analysis of my own here as well. Is there a way, I don't seem to be able to open this up via like my home, not home, but essentially via the Excel app, or download it for that matter. I would have to make changes to the version that is online, which I'm a little reticent about doing. Forrest, any way, or Laura, that we can do something about that?
So everything is designed to not be downloadable to apps outside the system. It is designed to be used in the SharePoint environment.
Right.
You may be able to register a query into it with Power Query. If not, We can also look about ways of getting of other data extraction.
Okay.
But it is, yes, as you probably intuited, to avoid a situation where there is a change that affects everybody.
Yeah, understood. Understood. I think that's understandable. And again, thank you for, yeah, let's look into that. I'm just interested in doing maybe some pivot tables, some, some analysis like that from baseline, we'll say. So yeah, I appreciate your help on that.
Thank you for the input. Any other comment on the staff's report? And just as a follow-up to make sure I'm tracking, you'll resend that, the original to the entire board so we can have that first.
Yes.
Okay, outstanding. I think that was my question George had asked. You answered, so, all right. Moving along pretty quickly here, okay. Action item number 4, we definitely have time here to put this in. Is our space that we have for public comment. I don't know if there's anyone visitor online or anything yet. We don't want to not make that offer of time available to those who may be online. Thus,
It appears that the only participants online are members of the board.
copy that. All right, with that said, do we still have a member of the public here in person with us today? So welcome. Welcome. And so we give space. Great, thank you very much. Yes, I know we usually say 90 seconds, but 2 minutes. Give me some time.
120 seconds.
120 seconds.
I don't know what to do with all this. Don't count that against. So, thanks very much, and I appreciate the extension of time. I want to talk. Can you guys online hear me? You can. I want to talk for just a couple of minutes about
Closer to like.
MCPD has initiated a process by which they are posting on their website, as you know, I think, opportunity for public comment on MCPD policies, which they call function codes, FCs. And I believe that you submitted comments on excited delirium, which was a element of their use of force policy, FC 131. And I commend you for it. I don't know that I don't think I've seen it. I don't know if it's online, but I know you talked about doing that. So in the process of talking to the ACP, which is sort of your cousin organization, but different. I found on their website that they had submitted comments on 3 MCPD policies. And admittedly, I was only focused on one of them, the use of force one, and we talked about that before. But I sent you a link to the ACP's comments. And, I don't always hold them up as a role model for you, but in this particular instance, I think the ACP did a phenomenal job commenting on the use of force policy. If you take a look at it, even if you don't even read it and it's detailed, their research on it and comments were, as far as I'm concerned, really well done. And then they also commented on another 2. So my point in summary is I hope that you'll be taking a look at, or have your staff look at, what policies are coming up for public comment, that you'll take the time to consider whether you should make comments on those policies. You'll have 30 days at least. I think they've extended the time in some instances. But I'd also urge you to consider asking the other police departments and the sheriff's office to do the same thing. I think in this case, MCPD is a role model for the other LEAs. And you could certainly say, hey, they're doing that. We think that you two chiefs should give the public an opportunity to provide comments. So I hope you'll continue to work on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Landau. That is, of course, in the purview of the board. Let's just talk about, thank you. That is in the purview of the board. I myself know I've been looking at that. We did receive your email on that, so thank you for that. But we are tracking the board, and we are it is within our purview, of course, when we see good things, no matter what they are, not specifically talking about this one this one area that you were brought up in reference to the ACP, but anything, we kind of look out for it and then look into it in its general term for all of our LEAs and municipalities. So thank you. The chair recognizes.
Thank you, Chair. I thought it was just a good point here to inquire. I know I drafted a letter for the board's consideration. On excited delirium, and what's the status? Has it been transmitted?
We haven't had an instruction to transmit. We did provide the letter to the board for approval. We have received the approval of Chair Walker. And perhaps one other member, we have not received feedback from the full board.
I believe I commented on yours, saying that I concur with you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I made comment, but I did read it. Yeah.
If I can, one quick thing,
Yeah.
there's intention to get approval for it tonight, but I just want to flag regarding the the comment period. I deliberately in the draft did not, tie our work into the comment period, thinking that, we can provide comments to the law enforcement entities anytime that we deem appropriate. And while it was triggered by their comment period, we're not limited in terms of when we can provide feedback to them.
Right. Agree.
Did Chief Yamada's announcement about excited delirium, does that affect anything about the board's approach to the letter? Well, it doesn't have to, just.
I'm not aware of the announcement.
Well, yeah, his announcement, which is public, that he spoke to, and just cut to the short chase version of it. He made a pledge to, and if not done already, remove that term from his policies, and have been or will be instructing his officers, not to use that term in their reports and in some of any of their documentation and view on behavior of encounters when it comes to detainment and things like that.
I did see that.
So the question that I think our administrative director wants to clarify is, do we think that would have an effect on the letter? I say no, and I misunderstood. I thought that the reason you sent it was because I thought we were all on one accord that we asked
Right.
Ken to do it. So since he did it, I thought it was just awaiting my approval, so I didn't put it out to the rest of the board, so I'm sorry for not doing that, but I thought you all were just waiting for me to approve it because we already asked for Ken to do it, and I didn't make that clear to the staff at all on that end, so
I understand. We probably would still bring it back to the full board. It's gonna be issued as a communication from the board. Drafting responsibilities are, of course, a really important part of it, but having full buy-in of the board, or at least full awareness of what the board is ultimately stating, we want to make sure is captured as everyone's consent is captured on the board, that they are making the statement they want to make.
No, I think that makes sense too. It's just, before, after we hear from a member, Alicia, I think we'll just maybe make the motion and vote so we can move it forward, Alicia?
Yeah, I just would like to echo what the chair just stated. I have full faith and confidence in Ken's draft, and I understood that, it was not something that the board needed to go back and approve. So I just wanted to echo what the chair stated.
Thank you.
That was my
So let's do
understanding.
this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Alicia?
No,
Sorry.
no. That was just my understanding as well.
Oh, okay. Well, let's do this for the sake of rightness. And following the advice of our administrative director, because you can't go wrong with, doing right. So, right? So, Mr. Parliamentarian, I think it's fair then for us just to put that on the table, that all are in agreement. I don't think it has to be a motion, right? I think we can just say,
No, we want a motion. We want to vote on it.
all right, so I'd like to make a motion. That the letter that was drafted and then sent out for our review, and we make a motion to vote that it now be submitted.
Point of discussion.
Second it. Oh, okay.
Well, I was gonna say, yeah.
All right,
I mean,
let's wait for a
first.
second. We got a second. All right, now that we have a second, any discussion?
So just one request to staff that even after its approval, I took numbers from public reports, from public documents, if they could just be proofed, make sure my numbers are accurate, my quotations are correct. The lawyer in me appreciates that someone just check it before you give it to the chair for signature.
We'll give it a ChatGPT.
So, and
Co-pilot.
Okay, I think we got the request.
Yep, typographical and citation review is something we're happy to do.
Outstanding. With that second, already, all those in favor? Aye, or raise your hand. Any nays? The ayes have it. Thank you for that draft, and thank you.
Good job.
And let's, yes, for the sake of having this within our perceptions and understanding, again, from now on, when we have an understanding of something being drafted, we want to keep this practice of allowing the whole board to be heard for approval, for it to go forward. All right, so this won't slip past us again.
Can I have a clear understanding? I understood what you said, but so rather, or in addition to our response via email, we will do a formal vote. Is that what you're saying?
I think to be safe, I would say yes, unless there's an advice because I'm thinking if we get approval via email and it meets the quorum status, that.
So, yeah, so we would, there's a couple different ways you could do it. Voting approval, it is strongly recommended take place during an open meeting. A large group communication by email or text message can itself become a subject to the Open Meetings Act, if the board acts within that correspondence. There are other ways we could do it. For example, if you have approval for drafting, you just have a more specific motion, I suppose, of saying that we will commit to making these points, that we'll all review, and that people will individually confirm that they are satisfied or that they have a question, and if there's a question, then it has to come back to the board. We can certainly do that. We do want to make sure, we do want to be careful about times that a group decision or vote is taken electronically.
Understood.
But to confirm, in the case where we want to expedite things, then that is acceptable to do it via an email electronic response.
But what I think what he covered, if I'm tracking right, what he said in reference to that, if I'm tracking right, if I'm jumping ahead. But I think is when we do present an idea to draft a letter, within that first draft, we can set a context to say, upon everybody's approval of what we are, the points that we want to make, it's clearly made in this draft. We see it in the email, and upon that, with everybody saying, and we're doing this in an open meeting, with everyone then saying on that email that yes, this is what we approve to move forward, and we get all of that, then it's a move forward, or we get questions, and it's questions. That would help us with the expediting of that particular point, if I'm tracking that.
Another option is in the weeks leading up to a meeting, if there is something that a member wants to address, something that's out in policy that, or say another NCBD policy, another department policy that's open for comment. If they prepare a document in advance to present to the board, we can place it on the agenda. People can prepare and read some materials in advance. And there could even potentially be a completed draft ready for review at the meeting. That way, if you have to take any complex votes, you can do them without any confusion.
Okay,
Copy that?
appreciate that.
I think I saw someone's hand up, or did they take it down?
Yeah, it was just me, Chair. Thank you. I think just in alignment with what has been discussed here, and in terms of expediency, the only other alternative could be calling a special meeting, right? But again, I think that what we want to try to do is do as much, like, I mean, the purpose of the Open Meetings Act is to do the business of the board in the public eye. So that's the reason for us to be able to do that. Now, obviously, like Greg was saying, if we have to call a special meeting, there are implications on doing that, obviously for the staff, but as well as for the general public, and knowing with enough time, reasonable time ahead of the meeting. But that is also a tool that we can use.
Copy that. Okay, so vote is made, let us go on forward. So thank you for reminding them of that. Ken, thank you very much. Let's see.
Sorry, Board, while you're thinking, if I could just recite back to make sure that on the same page. So the staff is going to conduct the typographical and citation review of the letter. Present it back to the chair. I would anticipate in this circumstance also the drafter, just so you're going to have finalized on your work product, and assuming that we have buy-in, the letter will issue. Satisfactory.
If you don't hear back from me, very quickly, assume it is approved, but yeah, I would say you're authorized to make technical and conforming grammatical changes.
Wonderful.
Yeah, if you make it out, I'll read it with an engineering.
Yeah.
View, not an attorney's view, but I'll read it, from that perspective.
Yeah.
And I pretty much, comprehend some of the legal writings, and I guess you just look for he and I, and because it's already done and approved and voted on, so.
Excellent.
Okay. Good stuff. Next action item, if there's no other comment on that, is old business. Any old business? Where I go and
Just what's on the agenda here.
And this,
all right, so let's just look at what we have is, I want to give someone else a chance before we go to the, what's on the agenda. So I didn't hear anything, so we just go what's on the agenda, which is the finalizing the questions and or topics for the third quarter for the LEA directors meeting on the 18th of September. Chair recognizes Alicia. I see your hand. Alicia,
Yeah,
can
I'm
you hear
so
me?
sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I wondered if we needed to set an additional meeting for the board to sit down and actually hash out our work that we're going to submit regarding policy recommendations because, based on the information and data we've received with the ACC decisions, what trends we've recognized, what recommendations we can make regarding those trends, our central, in other words, our central purpose. Should we, because, as far as is stated, he has mentioned the submission of our annual report, and maybe I missed it, but I've not seen submissions of policy recommendations by the board.
Now, I think that, of course, that's up to the board, because what we did, I think it was either the last meeting, we talked about adding um uh another meeting for the month based on what the staff's availability due to budget constraints and time. And if that was good, then we would need to let the staff know in advance that we are going for that second Thursday of whatever month that is. So we could meet with that. I remember, if I recall correctly, that was what was discussed in the last meeting. But we didn't have, for this meeting, this month, we didn't have anything submitted in time to even talk about another meeting. But if we're talking about another meeting, we could discuss that now, present it to the staff about time constraints and or budget constraints. If we can have the two meetings, I'm believing in September is what you're talking about. And then make a motion to vote if we're going to actually secure that meeting, so we can have enough time to get it out to the public that September would be doing two meetings instead of one. Chair recognizes.
Yes, so with the with boards, committees, and commissions, voting to set a meeting can get a little tricky. If it's been set in statute that meetings are determined in another fashion. In this case, it's at the call of the chair. In order to comply with notice, we are gonna have to provide an agenda, both for Safe Open Meetings Act and for the more stringent local laws covering notice. For the annual report, those pending sections, at least previously, the board had submitted sections from its ad hoc groups. Depending on the composition of those ad hoc groups, if you think it's the best system to have you all meeting to write those sections at the same time, or whether the ad hoc groups need breakout sessions. They're all things that can be arranged. We should make sure that the solution that you're going to attach is the one that's going to best meet your need in producing material. So I just wanted to flag that all for you.
Do the other board members have any comment regarding this?
Yeah, I think they do.
If I remember, the way we took the approach last year for this was the groups individually we composed, submitted, then it was combined to one document. I do not believe it's necessary to have us meet in an official, because the ad hoc committees are not quorum groups. And for us to meet as a board to discuss, I do not believe it would be as effective to compose the document. Meet after the documents have been sectioned and put together.
Right, and then make the motion to have it be a part of the annual report.
Unless someone else has a different thought.
Well, is there anyone who is actually handling just the trends analysis? Is there an ad hoc group? I know that we've done the work with the dashboard. George has done a phenomenal job, George and Greg. I know that. But in terms of our trends analysis, I mean, what am I missing?
Alicia, I think, and George, help us there if you can. I suspect you probably have the most data. We did work looking at what has been trending. It would be a matter of taking the raw data, pulling together, and then grafting it into see what it actually is saying. Or am I wrong?
So yeah, so I think in terms of there's a couple of things here. So let me sort of deconstruct it perhaps. As it relates to the dashboard itself is sort of a pending project, pending the procurement of that case management software that Forrest has explained before. So the visual dashboard is pending that. I think that's the only update thus far as it relates to the dashboard. However, the staff has taken the lead in terms of building out that case viewer, which essentially contains the data that we would like represented in a dashboard. Some of that analysis has already been done, perhaps not extracted findings yet from those, but essentially covered the data, the inputs that are across the Excel sheet. So yeah, so I think that as of right now, I'm looking to get some of that technical assistance in terms of manipulating the data without affecting the SharePoint, which what we talked about a little earlier in the meeting. That hasn't happened yet. But the data is there, and it's just a matter of us being able to again manipulate it and get some findings extracted out of it. So I don't think that there's anything that we would, I mean, unless it's very high level, right? I don't know that by September 18th we would be able to
Right.
provide a full, version of what we think is going on. That will probably come a little later. And again, I would certainly say here that this will require probably all of us. I think especially the staff as well, since you guys are hosting, the data itself. So that's going to be, as usual, I think, the biggest, or at least one of the biggest sort of items that we need a lot of effort on. I don't know if I answered all of your questions, but let me know if I didn't.
Okay, so Chair, I think that's, Forrest.
Thank you, George. That is actually very helpful. Relate to Alicia's question, just to clarify for the data and trend analysis. Which member or members are chairing that EHG at this time?
I believe there is an actual ad hoc group, if that's what you're referring to, Forrest. Yeah, we got the data and we submitted all of the requests to the staff, and that's sort of where we sit right now.
Yeah, so there's no real ad hoc group for that, the trend analysis, that slipped by. So, I think from tonight, I think as George was saying, it's gonna take all of us. But how, and then, of course, what Gregory was saying too, from an ad hoc perspective, because we don't wanna get into having to create a quorum for doing this work. So, I think tonight we can take a moment and make some choices of what to build an ad hoc group to handle that. We can do that tonight now. The staff has presented a lot of information from some of the ACC, which would help us look at and find some trends that Alicia was talking about. Then we still have the dashboard reports. Then we still have the listening tours group. I think you all found some things. And on target to have discover some more trends and information. So it's like, I guess we can build have an ad hoc group and then have everyone to be available to assist with what they can to give to that group so we can make something, as opposed to pulling too many people out of different areas. I don't know, I know that let me see, I know George is still working on something. I know we have the outreach. But I don't know any other ad hoc group that's targeting a certain thing right now. So, Alicia, I know, you're good at that, at that research and finding trends. If you wanna take the helm and do a, a, uh, a quest or question out there to whom would want to partner with you on that when I had that group and just focus on that. Uh, I think we can do that tonight. If you would accept taking the reign on that, that would be good. And George, you had your hand up?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Just to reiterate, I think just looking at the data, I'm happy to assist as well. I will, be looking through this data regardless for my own identification, but also for the benefit of the board and the county, of course. So I'm happy to assist Alicia, in this effort. I will say though, I just want to make sure, I think it would be very helpful at least to lean probably pretty heavily on our staff as much as
Right.
possible for this. Not that we haven't already. I'll say that as well. A lot of what is already there is because of the staff's efforts.
Mm.
But I think to take it to the next level, we'll probably have to, coordinate with them very closely again on what can we extract, how can we manipulate it, what do we think, is a good analysis to have, et cetera, et cetera. So again, just putting that out there because I know this will take some time commitment from all of us.
I would like to join you two on that as well. Alicia, if you've accepted it, I didn't know if you did or not, so.
Yes, I did. I'm sorry. I
Okay.
did.
Okay, I didn't want to speak too fast and before you, but I would like to join both you and George on this. And so we'll be the ad hoc group in reference to trends and analysis. And of course, we always have room for one more because we still can do four without touching a quorum, but I like to be a part of that. And again, with the staff's expectation that we will be leaning on you all heavily again in this. So now do we, I don't think we need to make a motion for an ad hoc group because it's an ad hoc group. So we'll just say that's what it is. So myself, George and Alicia, we're part of that ad hoc group for the trends and analysis. All right. Right, that's agreed. Did I see your hand again?
No, you saw me thinking, but I.
Oh, okay.
I
I knew I saw the wheels turning and smoke or something coming up. Chuck, you're good. Any comment on that?
No, that's good.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
If, I would say that, if I can help in any way, I'd be happy to.
Oh, absolutely, we can, yeah, absolutely.
You have triggered a thought process for me when you said that. Can you have an ad hoc group with four, where people come in and out, or once it's 4, 5, it's a quorum, but
It's a quorum, right?
but if it's one where you have a member that participates and one that's not participate, I don't know, I'm asking a question, thought process.
Well, one thing, I know, we have the
Yeah.
parliament, I understand what you're saying, and we have the parliamentarian, we can clarify. It. But whenever ad hoc group meets, whatever that meet is, whether it's virtual, hopefully it's virtual nowadays, everything is virtual, or in person, it cannot be any more than 4 board members in that space.
But then the
Period.
question comes, if for some reason a board member that's part of the ad hoc group says, I think X individual should handle this part, may step out or.
Well,
Can
the
it be
thing,
done?
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, and that's it's a little tricky, right? Because it's a little tricky, so I would just stay, I would recommend staying completely away from that as possible. And And we could send, after that ad hoc group finishes its meeting, maybe send a inquiry or a text to that one individual, but involving them within that same action as things are flowing. I think we want to stay away from that. We don't want to get, yeah.
So this is why, for example, you may not necessarily have always the ability to post comments on certain documents that would be visible to all the other board members, because that starts to become a chain that can become something that would be classified as a meeting that we have to report. So which again is part of why a lot of the information is so siloed, to make sure that we don't accidentally provoke that. For the purpose of these groups, it is best practice is going to be to let the staff know what you need. If you need us to set up a Zoom meeting, for example, we prepare certain documents, and who's going to be involved. So that way we can get you the support, and we can, if you do have to substitute out a member because you want to bring in someone else's expertise, we can note that. Also, for the benefit of the annual report, one of the portions being reporting on the activity of the board and its members, make sure that we can account clearly for everyone's involvement, give credit where credit is due, and not have a muddy record where it appears that too many people were participating in conversation if they weren't. It's just that this person was in and then this person was in. That makes sense.
Yeah. That kind of answers my question. I was looking for a workaround for times when you said, well, an individual was better, I'll step out and let that individual participate in this portion of the meeting.
As long as we, like we said, we want to stay away from the mud as much as possible.
If I'm in the news, I want to see all this stuff.
Right? Okay, all right, that was a good question. Any other old business? And I really want us to really, stay conscious and on target toward meeting this, September 18th, deadline, so we can really be, ahead of what we're trying to do with this annual report. I think, we can do it. We've done it before. We continue to do it because this is where we are right now. So we'll stay focused on targeting that. So September 18th. I believe, what was that? No, that was for the final questions. You didn't give a deadline for getting any rough drafts in. I know you said soon, but you didn't say specifically. That was.
Yes, so we're looking for drafts of sections by September 18th.
Okay, you did. Okay, so I'm right. Okay. So it is September 18th. All right, just want to make sure I was tracking correct.
And this doesn't have to cover everything you plan to talk about or all the details, but having a sense of where
Exactly.
where you're headed.
Right, where we're headed, right, directionally. Okay. All right, I think we can do that. Good to see you, Kate. Any other old business? None heard? New business. Before we go to, Chair recognizes.
Sorry, Joe, I think the old business, the finalization of topics and questions for the LEA director meeting was raised. I don't know if the board.
I raised it, but I didn't have any comments on it, so let's go back to that. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, raised it, but didn't go back to, we didn't give a chance to have comment on it. On the old item, action item 5, section A, finalizing, any questions or topics for the third quarter LEA meeting.
Can I ask one question? At this
Absolutely.
meeting, who will be all the LEAs?
I think at this one, we have, Chief Tony DeVault from, Tacoma Park. We decided that, we want to go with, one LEA because that's what, our mandate is, to meet at least with one, director, leadership level of the LEAs. And this time we went with Tacoma Park. if you all remember that. And so, Chief Duvall has committed to being here. And, that's what we're focusing on. Some of you all should have, well, everyone should have seen the, SharePoint or the invite to go to the SharePoint, to post your questions, and you should have seen some of the other questions. I saw questions from different ones written there that we are, preparing, and I think have been approved, to ask, Chief Duvall. And so we still have time for anything else based on what can transpire in the county between now and then. That would be a hot topic to cover while we have him. Uh, so we have until the 18th to kind of get that done.
So I believe the 18th is when,
The meeting.
is the meeting.
Yeah.
So we're transmitting the questions,
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay. All right.
If you have additional questions, we can certainly send them along, but just the batch of what we have will be the tentative.
I know why I thought the 18th.
Do we have any issues coming out of Tacoma Park that we should be mindful of?
When you say issues.
Are there
No.
anything that we want to ask Chief Duval?
Yes, I've presented some things, and I think I saw some good questions from, I thought it was Alicia. I think I saw some good questions from, was it you, Alicia? Someone else followed up with a question. Yeah, it was George. Okay, saw a good question from George. I had some questions in reference to him and policy. I think if you look at what the ACC has already given us in reference to some of the rulings that involves Tacoma Park, that could assist you with maybe coming up with some good questions that are topical for his area.
Is there?
I have one question I'd like to put out now, if it's okay, for it being public domain, since I'm gonna speak to it, but it will reference what I put on the agenda for our new business. And I'd like to get his perspective on that.
On, come out the chief.
Yeah, Chief,
Oh,
I'm talking about, can we reference that or on AI,
I,
on AI?
on AI. Put it in.
Oh, I didn't know if you say that, I was just saying it, make it.
Yeah,
Perspective.
go on the portal, right?
If you're, so yeah, there's a couple options. If you have a couple questions in mind,
It,
they can be
it's
added.
just one I can give now to make part of the official document going to him.
Sure.
His perspective on AI utilization by policing and how is his department actively involved in any utilization of such? Which I'll do follow up and we discuss it, but
I thought I saw that in there already.
well, when I sent the email to you, when I wanted it on the agenda.
Okay, yeah, cause yeah, and I thought I sent it up to you for that AI question. I think
I think we,
I was at the office and I believe I texted it.
yes, I think for our new business, we have artificial intelligence and automation and policing.
Okay, all right, yeah, I know you sent it to me, I remember that.
And that's,
Okay.
for this open discussion, I have more thought process around that.
Copy. All right.
And it actually does raise a great point. If you find that that you have a topic that you're mulling over, that you expect could raise a lot of questions or that you're still digesting, you can also always just throw up broad topics, and we can let the chief know to expect questions about a subject if there's something you want to dig into, but you don't have a complete preview yet.
Okay. Alicia, I see your hand.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the implementation of Parker, the robot, at the Ellsworth garage. Is that kind of what you were alluding to, Greg? You know, use of such robotic, robots assuming tasks, policing tasks. Is that what you're maybe referring to? Yeah.
Yes, Alicia, hence the question on new business, and because of what I do in my other life, I have a lot of interest and thought process on what I think the county should consider using AI in policing
Right.
and some framework around the thought process.
So your question was, that I saw, Ingrid, if you share it with me, with good reference to the parking lot and tags.
Yeah, that was part of it.
Okay, which is, I think, we can even put that in as a broad note
Yes.
for that, topic would center around that, as well as your specific question too, Gregory, just put it, like you said, follow with a, topic note. That would be a great idea, because that is
Right.
a vast, you can go so deep into that, and it keep raising questions on police dealing with AI, so that's pretty good. So the questions are being transmitted to Chief DeVoe tomorrow. I'm guessing by COB tomorrow. So we have tonight and before COB tomorrow
Okay,
to get it, but we know yours is definitely in there, Greg, because I've been receiving it and putting it up to him, to Forrest. Okay. All right.
Mhm.
Any other old business after that? None heard. Action item number 6. New business, which is one we just talked about, which is the artificial intelligence, AI automation and policing. I think we still want to give Greg some space to kind of express some things on that on new business. Would you want to do that?
Yes, please.
Okay, and so that's, I don't see the hands raised, so we go with Gregory first, new business.
My thought process as we talk about artificial intelligence, it's a buzzword out in the marketplace. However, in what I do in my other life, there's a lot of conversation in healthcare, but it's across all domains. One of the biggest things that I think we as a board should put forth to the county and the LEAs and through the council is what criteria is actually being utilized from a thought process of how AI will be implemented. You talk about AI, and if you read the people in the know, there are accreditations for a lot of different things that are being done. The question is, has the county and the various LEAs put a thought process or have developed criterias that will state how it will be utilized in all domains involving the public, and then how the officers that are utilizing AI will be governed as it's being rolled out and implemented for policing. What privacy concerns, what are the parameters on what type of AI is being utilized, what are the things that protect the individual and protect the officer also in AI utilization. I've just painted a broad brush. Personally, I think maybe we should, if it's not being discussed, we should put guidelines in place and make recommendations that there is a criteria developed with folks that have expertise in that arena that addresses concerns, much like is happening in healthcare. Because as you know, when you now go to see your clinician, AI is being utilized in every aspect from the time you sit down until you leave the physician's office, that it aids them in treating and making diagnosis. In the same way, I think we as a county should take the lead and use AI with criteria established on how to be utilized in policing as far as arresting, charging, and so forth.
And that's, I was reading on that. And because those, some, especially when you sent me those thoughts, and I looked into it, because we want to know if if these LEAs already have these existing policies in place, and if not, what are their, like you said, their understanding of how they're going to, so we can make recommendations, because the main thing that we would see it from as a board is I can see a lot of privacy issues
Correct.
coming up with that. Cause if I read this report and I just skimmed over it, it wasn't actually here in Montgomery County. But it was talking about AI and how, they could scan a plate, a license plate. And, uh, come back with this person's information, but not necessarily meaning that they were in a committing a violation, a moving violation or anything. It's just a scan, which, to me is a privacy issue because if I'm not violating anything, why are you scanning my tags, my car, my whatever? So I don't know if that type of thing exists here, but it was somewhere I was reading about that, and, we want to be able to inquire.
Yeah, because in actuality, once you access an individual, you have carte blanche access to credit history and everything, depending on how it's being utilized. And I do not necessarily, I think there should be guidelines if such information comes in, how it is partitioned with an officer has that information and who then has access to that information. And I just think we should talk
Yeah, we
very
should talk about it.
openly and talk with the county council as to how those things are put in place to be guidelines for such.
Absolutely. Chair recognizes Forrest.
Sure. Just a few preliminary things to throw out. The county, through TEBS does have, standing administrative procedures on the development and use of artificial intelligence. Those apply across executive departments. And the Montgomery County Department of Police in March of 2024 issued its own informational bulletin, confirming that it is that the bulletin aligns with TEBS's guidelines for really for urging substantial caution with using anything that's using a large language model. It sounds like there may be a second question there about data storage generally. So the plate scanning, for example, hasn't been a new feature for the county. It's been something deployed for a number of years. Generally, the plate information and things connected to meters, to Maryland's traffic enforcement system and the MVA systems, have not been something that require any sort of judicial process to get access to. That there is just a plenary ability to run plates. For the more sensitive databases like NCIC, which get into criminal information and contain things like potentially social security numbers, that is a regulated system. It's also a federally regulated system. Any regulations or requirements that can be created in Maryland have to be consistent and can't countermand existing controls of NCIC. Just to keep in mind for those two systems, because there is some overlap, and part of the guidelines from the informational bulletin for the Department of Police to warn officers about doing things like placing information from sensitive databases into any sort of GPT or other learning model that would try and interpret the information, because that would, of course, expose it to the model and to potential data miners.
Now, is that what I further read then that and that those type of scans could or have possibility of being able to track a person's day-to-day activity? Where they've been, who they've been, how they visit, which again is an invasion, but
I think there perhaps Flock. There has been a lot of press coverage of Flock,
okay.
And their use of artificial intelligence in connection with certain police systems. I'm not certain offhand if Flock has any deployments in this state, or that they may have some in Virginia. It's my understanding currently that the plate scanning technology with MCPD at least is from Axon. So there's also supplying their body worn cameras. But we can always inquire about Flock.
Is that Flock, FLOCK?
Yes, FLOC.
Yeah, which is which raises a lot of questions that you, okay. I think that's, I didn't want to proceed with that, so we do. This
I
to a
will-
group or we will do?
The thought process is, if nothing else, have each LEA present to us their policies around how it's being utilized by their organizations. And then from there, based upon what information we get, and I'm free thinking this, red herrings come up, then we dig deeper into it and maybe we start talking about adding other guardrails. If we see something that may be problematic that has not been addressed.
Any comment to that, anyone? First steps? Not here, Chuck?
Yeah, I would concur with some of what Greg is saying. On the judiciary, for example, I know that's not our bailiwick there, but I've read something where using AI to help determine sentencing, there was some concerns about how that information was being compiled. There was a racial aspect to it, so that what they were examining is why certain people of color, for an example, were being given stiffer sentencing. And it had something to do with AI and the data that AI was compiling. So I think we do want to look at how they're going to use this. Just as an example, I did stop by because there seemed to be some concerns about Parker. And I did stop by that garage yesterday, and I did share that with everyone. They assured me that it's more or less a repository. In the event that there's a break-in in a vehicle and the police would request information, they would have it that they can use for those purposes, but not to invade anyone's privacy. And that there would not be active monitoring by police along those lines. That was something that I think probably sits well. And that's probably the direction, correct me if I'm wrong, that we're looking at making sure that we don't go overboard, or that the police departments don't go overboard with information of that sort.
And actually, to what Chuck's saying, I'm not sure where this would take us. It's just a big question of understanding. Plain and simple. And not, some may say it's a fishing expedition, okay. But until you really understand, you don't know what you don't know. So you ask the questions, then you put it on the table. And I believe this would be one of the big questions as we're doing the listening tour moving forward, to understand what the various organizations' thought process are around that.
Yes.
Because I would anticipate, if there isn't, there will be a lot of thought and conversation as we move forward.
True that. So again, we're going to call on member Alicia. So the first step that was suggested as a board, that we send out that question to the LEAs about what their policy and practices are in reference to AI.
Correct.
All right, that's the first thing. All right, so we'll hold on that because I don't want Alicia to lose her thought. Then I'll finish. Alicia?
Yes, and then also I think Greg added, and what are the guardrails that they have put in place or anticipate needing to put in place to protect against unnecessary privacy infringement on people's privacy. But I wanted to address, Chuck, thank you for speaking with officers at the Ellsworth garage. I'm a little confused because they stated that the robot is circulating, going through the garage to take pictures of license plates. I'm like, to what? because people see him doing that and therefore it's preventative. It's supposed to be a deterrent to people breaking into cars. Because if there is an actual break-in, then the officers are going to come and arrive and investigate on the scene. I didn't quite understand. I didn't understand. I don't understand the use of a robot, which is probably not that cheap of an expense to roam around the garage and collect
I think- and
data.
is that, I don't know if that's, I don't know, and I just wanna ask this for clarity. With that specific garage that we're mentioning, I don't know if it's that specific garage of, agenda, or is that something supported and activated by the LEA? And they're in that parking lot,
Right.
cause that would be the question.
Right.
That would involve or not involve us in that particular issue, right? Because if it's the private owner or whatever owner of that garage, then that's private. But if it's something that's the LEA's initiative, then it kind of falls into us to be able to inquire about it, right?
Yeah, it's the LEA's pilot program.
Okay,
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so.
no, if I may.
Please, and then we got a Ken, and then from
Yeah.
Ken we go to.
And I took a few of their flyers if anyone is interested. So according to them, and this is the Department of Transportation, and according to them, this is to compile data just to make it available in the event that there's a break-in, as it was explained to me. In the event that there is a break-in and the police want to get information, it may be, can you give us the license plate of the vehicles that may have been within that particular vehicle's space. So that if someone came in for a quick smash and grab, they would be able to identify the license plates of those vehicles that were surrounding the vehicle in question.
So this isn't then a LEA's initiative, this is the public transportation
Right.
initiative, which then,
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, it is Department of Transportation.
yeah, so which then wouldn't fall into our purview as far as,
Correct.
right?
Only
Okay.
to the extent that they did mention that if the police are investigating a break-in, the police can ask for footage that they may have
And they have a right
that
to ask.
Parker
right.
may
They
have taken.
And they have a right to ask for that, but they did not initiate the gathering of
Right.
that information, they weren't involved in that.
Correct.
Right? Am I tracking that?
That's
right?
correct.
Okay, Ken, we got it, cause he had his hand up, and then Ken, we gotta go to, administrative director.
Yeah, just a quick overall comment for the line of questioning on this. I mean, it seems to me this is just another, tool, a very powerful tool that the police have. And I think that, as Leisha said about guardrails, I mean, this is gonna come down to people, and they're gonna have a policy, and people have to be accountable on the law enforcement entities for their use of this and how they're using it. What Chuck said about how this may have been used in sentencing, I mean, someone put the data in.
Right.
Someone asked the question out. A person did it. Who's doing it, who's going to do it on our police forces is something that we should keep in mind.
Which leads back to.
Yeah.
What Gregory was saying, which is our first step. Right, so it's all circling back, even though we may not be able to directly address the transportation issue, indirectly, it seems like we can, because once the police have access to the information, okay, now what are you doing with that information that was gathered AI, robotically, whatever.
Exactly.
Which goes back again to what George was saying. And we got a thumbs up from Alicia, so we all right, we're on the right track. All right, Forrest.
So the Department of Transportation did announce yesterday that they're holding a series of public outreach events. So while this is, while Parker is very much a Department of Transportation project, just for the public interest, for people who do want to give their thoughts on that, you can search for Parker, Montgomery County to find the Department of Transportation's press release. Should be among the first results. They are holding those meetings on Sunday, August 31st, September 7th, September 18th, and September 27th. And those are going to be held at different locations throughout the county. So questions of both date and geographic distance, trying to accommodate folks. So the full details can be found through the Department of Transportation or by searching Montgomery County Government's website. Sure.
Outstanding. Please.
And if I may, in speaking with them, they mentioned, I did mention to them how MCPD handled the drones. And they mentioned, yeah, it was brought to our attention that we should have handled our rollout similar, that we should have let you guys know. We should have come to you and say, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how it would impact so that you don't get public outcry. So there, as a result, thank you, Forrest. One of the things that they mentioned, that they put these in place in the aftermath because they didn't roll it out the way MCPD did.
Did drone.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comment on that? It looks like we also covered I as well. Parking security, look like we covered that at the same time in this topic, so we can move past that action item. Which leads us to B of action item 6, which is the discussion on the advisory commission, the ACP. Any new business of discussion on the ACP? Please.
So if I may, so the reason why I asked if we put this on the agenda, in looking at their report, looking at their website and seeing some things, I started to, I guess I asked myself, you know, are we overlapping in terms of some of the things that we cover? Is it possible that we're bumping into each other in the dark without realizing it? Should we be sitting down to say, hey, this is our coverage, you know, we understand your coverage, let's see where we have areas where we may have some common ground or areas where we have some conflict.
I understood. Anybody else want to comment on that first? Alicia?
There are some processes that I did watch their a couple of their meetings, and there are some processes in place that I think might be helpful for us to look at, and just as Chuck stated, we're not going to need to check what they're doing on everything. We have a central focal task, which is analyzing trends of the data that we are in receipt of, that they are not in receipt of. They are not receiving ACC decisions. And so our central purpose is very different that way. But they do look at different FCs of the MCPD and other LEA jurisdictions. And, you know, they do have recommendations that they issue regarding rollouts or changes to the FCs. When I say FCC, am I saying that correct? Course of conduct. What does FC stand for anyway? What does FC stand for? Apologies. At any rate, I'm sorry. Say again.
Function code.
There we go. So, you know, issued and considered by the LEAs. So, you know, do we want to make that a regular part of what we're doing? Do we want to look at and be up, you know, out in front on, you know, excuse me, proposed changes that are contemplated or being looked at by various LEAs for these codes of conduct? Are there certain, particularly given what we see, that may raise concerns in our view and analysis of trends? You see what I'm saying? So, yeah. So
Okay, thank you
just
for
that.
comment.
Yeah,
No,
just
no,
that.
that's a good point, good point. Anyone else comment? Cause I have one or two. Huh. Anyone else on that? None heard? Um. I mean, as a board who actually, state mandated board
Mhm.
is, which puts us different than any other board that's really functioning within the county. Um, I know we have to be very careful with certain terms and terminologies and optics. So one of the mandates says that the PAB works in partnership with the LEAs. Right, that's what we've been created, to work in partnership with them, but focusing on community and focusing on these complaints that are made by citizens about policing, finding these trends, to help eliminate bad policing and continuously giving, our public a voice to be able to express these complaints and have a place to come to. Any, any entity that's out there, there's no break that says we can't look at any information that they write and say, hey, that's a good piece of information. Let's see if that's something that could support and keep us on our path. But specifically in reference to the ACP, I don't think, as Alicia so well articulated, I don't think there's no, even though some things may look like they overlap, they really are not, because of what we are really doing is so much different,
Okay,
right? So, but it's not stopping us from reading a good report, say, hey, that's a good piece of information in section of this report. We can, use that in some of our analysis and trends, after we fact check and everything like that. But I don't see, if that was a question of yours, I really don't see and a specific effort that needs to be created to create some type of constant communication
okay.
with the ACP, in my opinion. Uh,
No, it's good.
so,
We can if there are questions you would like to refer, we can certainly reach out. Their primary points of contact include Ms. Susan Farag, who is also the legislative analyst who works with proposals related to our budget. So she's certainly very familiar with our work, and is deeply familiar with their work as well. So certainly a resource that we can try and tap into. For the clarity of the board, we received the request earlier this week. We haven't at this point been in contact with the Advisory Commission on Policing about the board's inquiry or desire to discuss. So if there are items that you want referred, just let us know.
and again, and I think what we want to make clear, Chuck, is because you still make a good point, that there are some things that look like they are, and as Alicia even was saying, and then, we're just again articulated and supported by Forrest, that we're at liberty to make these inquiry about specific reports of theirs, and to see how those reports can assist us with our purpose. So that's no, but just to specifically say, hey, let's partner, or I don't think that's,
That's fine.
yes, yeah, but continue to reach out, and especially again, because she knows both entities very well.
Yeah.
And have her as a POC would help keep us clear on what is the best way to make that contact, for a specific purpose of ours that we need to do. Whether it overlaps or not, it still shouldn't prevent us from
Doing what we do.
doing what we do,
Okay,
whether it looks like it overlaps or not.
thank
So,
you.
any other comments? And thank you again for reminding us of Susan.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments on that? No, not heard. I have a new business, and I thought which is the topic of, we had talked about in the beginning, the rotation of the vice chair position. And I know it's been a minute, but, which is something that, the board decided to do, and we could make that motion and vote now, or make a motion, excuse me, for a candidate, vote now and all of that, but to rotate in the vice chair. I know one time it was in the SOP that it's supposed to be like a year or something like that, he had said. So I wanted to see tonight and about bringing that up now. I actually wanted to make a the word slipped out of my head. A recommendation. For vice chair position for the board, or nominee. How about that? I want to make a nomination. Vice chair and I have talked, and he's prepared to open the seat for all of the board members to have an experience to sit in the vice chair position. I think is important to do that. And it's not anything closed, it's an open, it's open type of session, meeting. So, if there's any other thoughts on that before, please, Chair.
So that does sound like something that we would have to designate on the agenda formally.
Okay, that's what my next question was.
I would defer to the parliamentarian as to if you can still amend at this point. It is somewhat of a larger item to have a board election. This did come up I think this has come up in relation to your cousin body as well. There is nothing wrong with the having the effect of rotation. If you want to do that, achieving it does require a vote each time. Because the statute, your authorizing statute, gives the authority to elect a chair. But that means that it also gives you the requirement that if you want to have a vice chair, that you have to elect them. But you could reach an agreement to rotate and just have confirmation votes. But yeah, we defer to the parliamentarian as to if it can be amended at this point or if it has to be set out later.
Yeah, thanks, Forrest. I think in the interest of time, it's probably a lot better to just put it into the agenda, I would say. We have a broader discussion. I think what we have done in the past as it relates to the vice chair and the parliamentarian roles were, like you said, chair, a nomination, a second, and a vote, which could be pretty quick as well. But I think, again, given the time and if other members want to discuss, I don't see really a reason for us. We can have it in the agenda for our next meeting as well. It's fine.
Quick comment that I've appreciated the time doing this. I don't think it was ever intended to be a permanent thing, and a rotation system would be, I think, good for everyone and for the board. But otherwise, I'm not going anywhere. I'll just slide down a little bit. We're still happy here as scribe or duties as assigned.
Perhaps a round of applause for the vice chair.
That absolutely right.
Indeed.
Can you get that in a minute?
So if I'm tracking correctly, we're preparing this for the next meeting. Or is
Yeah, I
it
think
something?
if we want to have a discussion on that topic, I think that would be fair.
Okay, alright. Any other comment on that, on the idea of the rotation and for both vice and parliamentarian?
I concur with what Ken was saying. I think it would be good exposure for all of us to experience that, sit in the seat, walk a mile in his shoes.
I mean, that was my idea as well, you know, to do that when we first started creating the SOP and was to have that opportunity for everyone to serve as vice and or parliamentarian.
And if I can, it's very common, you know, to
Yeah.
have rotating, you know,
Yeah.
even governments, you know,
Yeah.
commission members just rotate.
Absolutely.
And inertia kind of took hold, but this is a good juncture.
All right, Alicia?
Yes, I just wanted to express my appreciation and gratitude for your tremendous service, Vice Chair, and indeed our parliamentarian. I just wanted to express gratitude for your work.
Okay. So, got that for the next meeting? Um. Are there any other comments or thoughts on that? Let me put this down, I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes,
So I just want to make sure, as you say, I'm tracking this properly. So for the next meeting, as far as the vice chair is concerned, we're doing what?
we have the discussion on actual understanding of rotation and then we'll make a motion to move forward with a nomination and vote of that nominee.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other thoughts, comments? Alibis, as they say in the Navy? Staff, any last minute announcements or anything we need to know?
Nothing from the staff.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Seconded.
We have a second. Any comments? No, none? All those in favor of adjourn, to adjourn? Raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
A thumbs up.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. We are adjourned.